What's happening, everybody? We are back. Thank you for tuning in to the Still Knick Fans Weekly. You know how it is. You know how we do. It's your man, Ron and John is in the building once again. Let's go. Woo, 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 woo. I don't have no sound effects. Sorry. There, it's back. See, I set that up perfectly because last week we didn't have it, but this week we back to full strength. We in the building once again. John, how you doing, brother?
Oh, man, I'm good. Feeling blessed as always. Glad to be here.
All right. Listen, guys, thank you guys once again for tuning in. We're back to another busy Monday. I was watching so much Knick content today. Everybody's back in the full swing of things. Even though there's not much movement on the Knicks end, we're waiting. We're trying to see what's going on. But listen, that don't stop nothing. This show is going on. We got another good one for you. I'm really excited about this one. Let me just put this out there. First off, this is all happenstance, okay? This is how things work, all right? 2 years ago, a friend of mine asked me, no, okay, sorry, that wasn't it. My bad. Sorry, I don't know where I was going. Anyway, 2 years ago, I just happened to be on vacation at a said place, and it just so happened there was an MBK draft party happen at the same place. So I said, wow, this is great. Finally I get to meet, the MBK crew. I get to meet my YouTube Knick podfather, idol, Sim. So I signed up, and I was just happy to be in the building. And I just wanted to see how everything went. And I didn't know anybody, so I was by myself. I didn't know what to expect. Everybody was so cool. I met a bunch of people: Isaiah, Guillermo, Tony Crow, Steph. I met Sim, all that stuff, man. And then I was just sitting down, and there was one guy that I saw, and I was like, oh, I know that guy. And I was like, this guy I was so excited to see that he was there, because I don't even know if I knew he was going to be there. Maybe I did, but maybe I did. I think I did know he was going to be there, but I had no idea I'd be right there to be able to meet him and talk to him. And that was Chris, a.k.a. the Entertainah, man, because the Entertainah talking sports, I can't tell you how many times I watched his channel and watched, him go into, giant coverage, because quite frankly, I used to get my information from WFAN. And ever since WFAN changed, they messed around with the channels, the programming was different, I just stopped listening to it. And I don't like ESPN that much. So to be honest, when I wanted to find out or talk about the Giants and hear stuff, I'd go to YouTube and listen to Chris. So I was totally excited. The dude was great. Such a cool dude. He made me feel welcome. I was uncomfortable for a little bit, but once I saw him, we started chopping. I was like, now I'm at home. Now I'm with fans. So,
Right.
Without further
And it also
ado,
helps
guys,
that you are
go ahead.
a Giants fan. Let's not forget
Well,
that.
yeah.
You
I
are
mean,
a
the fact
Giants
that
fan.
I'm a
I am a
Giant
Giants
fan, I mean,
fan
listen,
as well.
that made it even
So,
better, because he could have been a
right.
Jet dude. I might have to dub him like, hey, what up, man? Anyway, man, but without further ado, welcome to the show. Chris, a.k.a. the Entertainah talking sports, is in the building.
I appreciate the night, the kind intro, man. It was a pleasure getting to meet you there. I had so much fun at that draft party, and you were a really cool guy. And yeah, you reached out to me on Twitter, said, you want to come on the pod anytime, man. I'd love anytime you guys want me back. Could talk Knicks for hours, could talk Giants for hours, whatever you guys want to talk about. But I'm excited to jump on tonight and talk some New York sports.
That's great.
Thank you for being here once again, brother. And let me also put this out there, because maybe only 200 or some odd people saw it, but if you dig deep into the Still Knick Fans archives and look into the channel, you see there is a series called An Interview with Your Favorite Content Creator. And Chris was so gracious enough to allow me to interview him and kind of dig deep into his life and how he got here. So if you're curious to know a little bit more about him, his rise and how he got to this point, check that out, man. It was a great interview. I did an interview with him, Uncle Freezy from Blorange Tears, and Sim from NothinButKnicks, but all three interviews fantastic. And Chris was definitely right up there with those other two. So, man, thank you for being here. And even though, I already asked you some of this, there might be some people that we've got on our channel that aren't that familiar with you and who you are and how you got to this point. So could you say a little bit about, your YouTube channel, what you do, and
I've been on YouTube now. Yeah, I've been on YouTube now for about four years, I think. 4 years or so, maybe a little bit more than 4 years. I do mainly Giants, but I definitely do a lot of Knicks too. During the regular season, I'll live stream a lot of the Knicks games. I'll do play-by-play. Yeah, and I just started this as a hobby, and it's kind of grown into something a little bit more than that. Yeah, and I just love talking New York, but specifically the Giants. That's where I spend the majority of my time. But yeah, like I said, I started doing it for fun, and it's kind of grown into something that I still do for fun, but a little bit more than that. So always love talking sports. Anytime anybody asks me to come on, I'm more than willing to talk. But yeah, check me out, Entertainah Talking Sports.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
So before we start to talk Knicks, I really want to dive into our Giants because I'm a Giants fan. Ron is a Giants fan. Sorry for all those who are tuning in who are Jets fans, but we need to get a little binge out. What do you feel? Well, I would say, what is your thoughts around this upcoming season and where the Giants may land this season with the new?
Yeah,
they brought in some good pieces.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to training camp again tomorrow. I went last Thursday, so I'm going again tomorrow, and then I'm going to FanFest on Friday, and then training camp again on Tuesday. So I've kind of gotten, a bit of a firsthand look so far at the team. It's going to be a completely different offense and defense, that's for sure, because now you brought in Dable, who I think is going to bring a completely different – I mean, Jason Garrett bored us to death. I mean, it was a very vanilla offense. You're going to see a lot more innovation on offense this year for sure. And on the defensive side, even though I didn't hate Patrick Graham, I thought he was a pretty good defensive coordinator. Wink is a completely different philosophy. Patrick Graham played a lot of bend but don't break. If you remember last year, the Giants surrendered, I think it was an NFL record, the amount of points they surrendered in the last 2 minutes of the first half last year. And with Wink, he's going to get after you. We're going to give up more big plays this year, but we're going to blitz the quarterback. We're going to be a really aggressive offense and defense. I think you're going to see Daniel Jones throw the ball a lot more this year, which could lend itself to more interceptions, but I also think we'll put up, some more points on the board, which is kind of hard not to, the way this offense has played the last 2 years. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Wan'Dale Robinson's looked great so far, too, the second-round rookie wide receiver. He's looked great so far in camp.
Yeah, we have no shortage of wide receivers, that's for sure. So I'm expecting to see a lot of motion offense, a lot of movement in the backfield. I'm looking to see a lot of, just trickery, especially with Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones, in my opinion, can run with the best of them. He just doesn't really have the opportunity to. So I would like to see him get out the pocket to, a little bit more than he was the last couple of years. So looking forward to seeing him do it with this offense. And again, he's got all the weapons, and hopefully, the running back position with Barkley there and a couple of other young players can get some time and really fill up some numbers, fill up the yard numbers, because we haven't had a good rushing offense in the last few years either. And that's unfortunate because we got a lot of talent.
Yeah, I think we're going to use Saquon more in the passing game this year too than we have the last 2 years. His rookie year, he had 92 catches, but I think we're going to use him more in the passing game this year than we did in the previous years. And the other huge acquisition on the offensive side, at least, Kayvon Thibodeau on the defensive side, Evan Neal. I got to see him at training camp the first day. He is ginormous, and I'm really excited to see. Hopefully, we have a competent offensive line this year between him and Andrew Thomas, and hopefully they can make the most out of the guys that they have in the middle. But that's what I'm most excited about on the offense is the different philosophy, the different scheme, and hopefully a much better offensive line, which should assist in Saquon Barkley, like you were talking about, being able to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic, man. I think as Giant fans, we've had to watch a lot of struggling offensive lines over the past couple of years. It's been kind of tough. So
it's been the last 11 years. It's been horrible.
He's being nice.
Man, I can't believe how time flies. It's been so bad for so long, and I guess I kind of forget about that, because people downplay all of the greatness that Eli brung to the table. I know he's very vanilla when you think about him compared to other quarterbacks, but they downplay how good Eli was and how much he had to put up with. And being an Iron Man at that, getting sacked all those times, always showing up, being there, playing and making plays. It's not easy. And this is the type of thing we see with a guy like Daniel Jones, who's not Eli Manning, but doesn't mean he can't be a really good quarterback with some protection and some nice offensive weapons going forward. I like the addition of Matt Breida. I think that's going to give a nice change of pace from Barkley. And, if Barkley does falter a little bit, Matt Breed is a professional with some really good speed. He's not the biggest guy, but he can definitely, cut up a little bit and maybe do some things that are interesting for the team. I also really love the fact that we got Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm looking forward to seeing the combination of him and I'm a big fan of the new tight end we brought in.
Oh, Bellinger you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and not forget Kadarius Toney. I mean, the combo between Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale, that should be pretty explosive. The only thing I guess I'm worried about with regards to receivers is just Kenny Golladay. I'm just a little worried that maybe our investment might come back to bite us in the butt because it's a lot of money given up for a guy who struggles to stay on the field. So I hope if he can stay healthy, then if he stays healthy, I think it's fine. It's just the whole thing. Can he stay healthy? We'll see.
Right.
Yeah, I also don't know how well, and we'll see. We'll see how they integrate him into the offense. But I thought Golladay actually fit Garrett's offensive philosophy and scheme better than he does this one. I think Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney fit it great because there's a lot of pre-snap motion. They're going to move their wide receivers into different locations on the line of scrimmage. Golladay is kind of a 50-50 guy. I could see him kind of playing that Sammy Watkins role when he was with the Chiefs because I think we're going to run a similar offense to the Chiefs. Not that we'll be nearly as successful, but in terms of the schematic, I think it's going to be similar to the Kansas City Chiefs. I could see him having that Watkins role, like that 50-50 guy. But I think Wan'Dale and Toney specifically, is going to be heavily focused in this offense. And like I said earlier, I wouldn't be shocked if Barkley leads the team in catches. I think he's going to catch a lot of balls this year.
That's great because he hasn't been utilized at all. Outside of injuries, he's had.
If he can stay healthy.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, and that's going to be great, man. I'm glad you're giving me the boast of confidence because that's what I was hoping to hear. Like we're going to go in that direction because that's what I'm looking for. And then defensively, like you stated, we're going to be going after the quarterback this year. At least that's your belief, right? Because of our coaching staff. How do you feel our young secondary is going to hold up? I think there's going to be a lot of pressure there, right?
That's by far my biggest worry on this team. And you already had a rookie go down today. Dane Belton's probably going to miss all of training camp. He broke his collarbone. Wow. He wasn't projected to be a starter, though Love was. But he was a guy that could have came in 3 safety sets, and I still think he'll get some playing time when he gets back. But the secondary is definitely my biggest worry. And I think it's most Giant fans' biggest worry because you look at the defensive philosophy with Wink. He blitzes more than anybody in the league. The Baltimore Ravens set records for their blitz frequency. His three out of his first 4 years there while he was with Baltimore. And when Baltimore had injuries last year to their secondary, that's why Wink got fired because the defense let up a lot of points. So I definitely worry about the secondary because now you're asking Adoree Jackson to take over the number 1 role. He was good last year, but as a number 2, he also has injury history, right? And then opposite him, you got Aaron Robinson, who we initially drafted to be a slot cornerback. He's going to be playing on the outside opposite Adoree Jackson, and maybe he could get the job done. Supposedly he's looked pretty good so far, but we are 1 injury away in that secondary from it being a complete disaster. And that's definitely the Achilles heel to this defense. We're going to need the pass rush to make up for it, whether it be Leonard Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari. We're going to have to be able to get after the quarterback because that's definitely a big weakness. Now, the one silver lining that I will say in relation to our weakness on defense, we play a schedule. When you look at our schedule, we don't play a lot of good offenses. We play Aaron Rodgers, great quarterback. We play Dak Prescott. They're going to put up their points in Dallas. But outside of that, Lamar Jackson, but he's more with his legs. We don't really play any quarterbacks that scare me with their arm. So maybe we play a favorable schedule that we could kind of get by with our weakness week to week. But I agree with you. I think that's by far the thing I'm most worried about going into the year. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a concern. It's one of those things where you just have to know what your system is. Giants are going to have a new system on both sides, offense and defense, pretty much. And it really, some of the principles will be the same, but it's a different mentality, a little bit different style, and definitely the aggression, like what you mentioned with Wink. You already know that he's going to gamble with blitzes, and so that's going to leave people exposed. And it's going to get scary. We're going to give up some big play. You would do that naturally, right, in a situation. But with the Giants and that spotty secondary, we might get torched a little bit. But hopefully, throughout the course of the game, it's not as much. It's more positive.
Maybe we create a couple more turnovers this year than we did last year.
Exactly.
Because of the nature. So, if you gamble, sometimes it pays off, sometimes you get burnt. I expect more big plays to be given up this year, but I also expect us to create more big plays. You look at the Dallas Cowboys last year, going into the year, not that I say our defense is going to be nearly as successful as theirs was last year, but a lot of people were down on their defense going into the year because they were one of the worst in football the year before. Then they made a transition in terms of getting a different defensive coordinator. They obviously drafted Micah Parsons. They came with a much more aggressive approach. And, well, Trayvon Diggs, for example, is not the best in coverage. The guy, I think, had like 9 or 10 interceptions because they were constantly sending the dogs, and it creates more opportunities for turnovers. And I think the Giants are going to try to mimic that. They realize they're going to give up big plays, but they're hoping they create more turnovers because of their aggression.
Yeah, and with those two studs at the side, on either end that we got, it's going to be a fun time. You know, I don't think we have something. I mean, since Strahan and O.C. Umenyiora, right? We haven't had two quality studs in the corners, so I'm looking forward to seeing that again.
It's been a long time since we had the last time we drafted. I think the last guy we drafted in the first round that was an edge rusher was JPP. I don't think we've drafted one since. So I think that's why a lot of Giants fans are super excited because we feel like we have an alpha again, which has been a long time coming.
Yeah, man. It's unbelievable to have Azeez Ojulari on one end and Kayvon Thibodeau on the other end. That should be pretty explosive. I mean,
I'll tell you another guy that's looked really good. Another guy that's looked really good in camp at that position is Ellerson Smith, who's a second year pro drafted. Yeah, they said he's looked really good. So expect him to be involved in the rotation well off the edge.
That's great because you get to give some guys some rest, and you know it's a team sport, you know. So the more you can give these guys some breathing time and be like really, you know, have good win during the fourth quarter and crucial third down situations. You know, you don't want your guys tired when it's time to get a stop in third quarter and like 5. You know, those third quarter, you know, those 3rd and 5s always catch me. You know, when I'm watching, I'm like, oh man, I know we're gonna give this up because.
Even when it's like 3rd and 10.
Pass rushing. Yeah.
Even when it's like 3rd and 10 with the Giants. 3rd and 20, I'm still holding my breath. Like, we haven't been able to get off the field in recent years with this defense, man.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
Yeah, it's been tough. That's why I think that that the Giants' defensive line is going to be huge. They're going to have to play huge dividends for the team. But, I mean, really, that's on the defensive end, that is a solid front. With the guys in the middle, Leonard Williams, and I always forget the other guy.
Dexter Lawrence.
Dexter, yeah. Man, those two are so solid, man. And Leonard is surprising to me because I was always questioning him when he was with the Jets. I never thought we got to see everything he could do. Then, of course, it comes to the Giants, and now he's getting sacks. Like, that's something new. So, yeah, having those guys in the middle and then these two guys on the end, I'm really excited to see what they can bring. So I mean, from what you've seen
words out of my mouth.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, I don't leave a lot of meat on the bone, man. I don't know what it is. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't know what I do.
Pete got it right though. Don't sleep on Ellerson Smith making some noise for the Giants at the.
Yeah. Well, listen, Pete. He's the guy, man. Pete Panagiotopoulos, man. This guy, he's a international sports fanatic. He comes with some really great takes on the Knicks and on the Giants. So I'm with that. That's why Pete P is here. Let me ask you this. So have you been to training camp before?
Ever or this year?
Yeah, before this year.
Yeah. The last time I went to training camp was Saquon Barkley's rookie year. I couldn't go, I think, the last 2 years because of COVID. But yeah, I went there in Saquon Barkley's rookie year.
So let me ask you, how do you feel? I mean, I know it's training camp, but do you feel like there's a little bit of renewed buzz? Like, do the Giants, like, just the atmosphere feels good? Yeah, it does. Okay.
Yeah. I think whenever you have a change, whenever you have like a massive change, and the Giants changed everything. They changed the GM. They changed the head coach. They changed the whole scouting department. Like, everything's new in the building. They need to get rid of the Pepsi. They got to get Coke because last year they handed out the medium Pepsis. Everybody got upset about that. But we'll talk about that another day. But I think whenever you have a change that massive, I think it brings hope into the fan base. And I've definitely seen that so far when I went to training camp for the day that I went. People seem really excited. But I think you got to go in cautiously optimistic, realize that, this team's not a Super Bowl contender. Realize that hopefully we're building something. The one thing I'll say about this new regime that I think has brought a lot more hope to the fan base than the previous one, when Gettleman first took over in 2018, the Giants didn't seem to have a plan. Like they were trying to win and rebuild at the same time. They took a running back second overall, which is kind of like a win now move. But they traded JPP. You were like, what are they doing? Are they trying to win? Are they trying to rebuild? And then get them and said at the end of the year that they made a mistake. They tried to do both at the same time. With Joe Shane, it has been a clear direction since day one. He has gotten rid of all the bad contracts. He hasn't backloaded salaries. He's thinking long term. He went offensive line. They signed like 5 offensive linemen. They drafted another 3. So they're thinking long term. They're setting the foundation. And I think that's why Giants fans are really excited. Not to mention Dable's going to bring a much more innovative offense. I mean, you saw what he did with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Not to say that Daniel Jones is Josh Allen. He's a freak. But he's going to bring a more modernized offense. So I'm really excited about everything that's going on. But at the same time, I still realize we're probably like a 6 or 7 win team that's in the beginning stages of a rebuild that hopefully by the end of the year, you start to say, yeah, we're trending in the right direction.
That was exactly going to be my next question. Where do you see us? So 7, 7, 7 and 9.
Yeah, right. I think 7 wins is reasonable. We play a pretty weak schedule.
Okay. I was hoping for an 8-8 season, so I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I'm hoping for 8-8 as well.
Right.
But we'll see. 7 sounds a little bit more realistic. But hey, man, if something breaks and it's unexpected and they really gel, you might be able to get, squeak out the 8-8, maybe surprise the world and get 9. And in that
find
NFC
a playoff
East, you never know what
you never know.
In the NFC East.
You guys know as well as I do, the NFL, the difference between 6 and 10 wins is a couple of breaks. And that's why you always go into the season hopeful. I mean, last year, everybody was knocking the Eagles, rightfully so. On paper, they didn't look great. Everybody thought they won 4 or 5 games. They won 9 games. They made the playoffs. They stayed healthy. They played a soft schedule. Last year, the Giants were completely banged up. Everybody on the team got hurt. Daniel Jones missed 6 games. Andrew Thomas missed like 4 games. Saquon Barkley got hurt.
Every wide receiver.
Every wide receiver got hurt. Key members of the defense got hurt. So if the Giants stay as healthy as the Eagles did last year with the schedule they play, could they win 8 or 9 games? They could, but we're always hurt. So that's why I'm trying to temper expectations. But it's the NFL. You catch a couple of breaks, anything could happen. There's two or three surprise teams every year. Last year it was the Raiders. It was the Eagles. Nobody thought the Bengals were going to a Super Bowl. So you never know. That's the beauty of the NFL.
Yeah. And the other thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like every time I see a new offensive line together, it takes them about 5 or 6 games to start to gel. So that's another thing, like,
and a different scheme on both sides of the ball, right? They're learning as they go. I don't expect it to just be you snap your fingers and this team looks crisp day one. I think it's going to take some time.
Right.
But the good news is if you look at our schedule, after week 5, we have like a 4-game window where we play the 4 weakest teams on our schedule. So I hope by that point we're relatively healthy. We're more familiar in the schemes. We play like the Jaguars. We play the Lions. We play the Texans. And we play another bad team that I can't remember off the top of my head. So I think that's our opportunity. If we could get there at 2-4 and win 3 out of those 4, suddenly you're 5-5. And then you got a bunch of divisional games coming up after that. So I do think it'll be rocky at the beginning of the year because of all the variables. And we don't play the easiest of schedules. We open against Tennessee. We've got Dallas. You've got the Baltimore Ravens. After we travel back from London, we got the Packers in London. So it's definitely
that's tough.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough first 6 games or so with a couple of easy games sprinkled in like the Bears and Carolina. But if we get out of there 2-4 and then win 3 out of those 4 in that easy stretch, you get to 5-5, you give yourselves a chance.
Yeah, I hate that. I really wish that the schedule was a little lighter for them to start off, just to build some confidence. But you know what? Sometimes you got to get thrown into the fire. I definitely think even if they're not doing well, they'll probably get up for that Baltimore game. I know Wink's going to get them up for that game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that should be pretty fun.
The thing I worry about that game, though, is traditionally when you play in London, when you come back, the NFL gives you an option if you want to take the bye for obvious reasons. You're traveling much further than you normally would. The Giants elected not to do that because they wanted to buy closer to the middle of the season. So we're traveling back from London. So we're playing Baltimore, and that's one of our tougher opponents, kind of on short rest. But that's going to be, like you said, that's going to be one of the bigger storylines this year is Wink going up against his former team. And obviously he's familiar with what they do on offense over there with Lamar Jackson. So it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, that should be pretty fun. Let me just do a little quick housekeeping, saying what's up to some people in the chat. First off, let me just say this to my guy, C_Mac. Listen, I ain't nobody trying to talk about them damn Steelers over here, man. Although I do respect them because the Steelers are a part of that. You know,
I'm gonna make Mac happy. I'm gonna make Mac happy because I did see the comment briefly. A lot of people I think are bashing the Steelers this year. Steelers are one of my sleeper teams. I think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs. A lot of people are bashing them. I could see Trubisky in a good situation now, even though I definitely still question the Steelers' offensive line because they're kind of young there. But Mike Tomlin's an incredible coach, and the Steelers always find a way to finish over 500. The most incredible stat, the Steelers, since the merger, the Super Bowl era, have only had 7 losing seasons. The New York Giants have had 7 losing seasons in the last 8 years. They've only had 7 losing seasons since the merger, and they've only gone through 3 head coaches since the merger. So they know what they're doing. We've gone through 3 head coaches in the last 5 years. So they know what they're doing, and I could see Trubisky being fairly successful with that team, and I still definitely respect the Steelers' defense. So I think people are sleeping on them a bit. Obviously, people are high off the Cincinnati Super Bowl appearance. Lamar's back with Baltimore. We don't know what's going on with Cleveland because now you got the 6-game suspension with Watson. I could see the Steelers winning 9 games. I could see the Steelers being better than people think.
I could see that too. Yeah. I'm just, when you brought that up about the Steelers and where they kind of fall in their history and their lore, like it really makes me feel sad because I just think about up until this past 10 or 11 years, you could always throw the Giants in those type of conversations. The Giants never were that bad. They had some losing seasons, but they never had consistent loss. They were always a good franchise. They were one of the best franchises. Like seeing this now, it's tough. It's tough to deal with, but it's okay. We're in a new attitude. We're going down a new road. I like it. Let's just see. Let's play this year out. Feel good about it, and hopefully we stay healthy. It's gonna be okay, guys. It's gonna be all right. So, shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, we are here with Chris, aka the Entertainah. We're talking sports. That name is true, man. Because let me tell you, Chris is not just. I mean, he's a great person to talk the New York Football Giants. I mean, he knows his stuff, like the back of his hand. But Chris also talks to New York Knicks. He does watch-alongs. He calls Knick games. He's very good at play-by-play. Not for nothing. You're very underrated at that, Chris. I want to say, I appreciate your play-by-play.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true, man. I could actually, if I don't have TV and I can't watch, I could actually listen to you call the game and enjoy it. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Angel Torres. Shout out to Geraldine McIver, the first lady of Still Knick fans in the building. Appreciate you as always. Almighty Finesse is here. Kaiser Sorze is here. D's World of Hoops showing a little love. Appreciate you, brother. Infamous New King in the building. My guy Noah, Clutch BBall TV is here.
Oh, he's awesome.
Canal Ban Laya in the building. Kareem Grant, what up, twin? Good to see you, brother. Pete P is in the building, as we mentioned. Thank you. Infamous New King is here. Keith Turner is in the building. C_Mac is in the building. Be Civilized is in the building. Big Task at Hand is here. And not to be left out, Mr. Walter Blackman Jr. is in the building. And thank you, Walter Blackman Jr., for the generous super chat. Appreciate you. Walter, he doesn't even take the time to give us any words behind it. He just gives us a super chat.
He's just I like what you're doing. Here's a link, and I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. And, we try to do that as much as we can, Chris. I know you can't do that. I mean, Chris, he's got 40,000 subscribers. For him to go through the chat and call out all the names would be crazy.
I try my best.
He'll still be calling names out.
I think that's important. I think that's what makes channels successful is you trying to. It's all about building a community. Like you see a lot of channels like try to take shortcuts and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna live stream and everything's gonna work out. I'm just gonna try to collaborate with all. No, it's about building your own community, getting your own niche. So I think that's important that you reach out to everybody that pops in or as many people as you can. So keep doing that.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So I guess you already answered the question, but I'll ask you anyway, just in case maybe the answer is different. My question to you before was, being that you seen training camp for a couple of days, and I know you're going to go back, you'll be there tomorrow. Who did you see so far that was like the big standout that you were most impressed? Was it Wandale or was there anybody else?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I'm tomorrow. I'm even more excited because they're gonna have the pads on. They put the pads on today. The practice I went to, the pads weren't on yet, so you're not really getting a great feel in terms of the offensive line and the defensive line and the running game. And even though I was super like impressed with just the size of Evan Neal, like he is gigantic. But in terms of like the standouts when I went, for sure, Wan'Dale Robinson. The thing that really popped out to me was just the different offensive scheme. It's just so obvious when you're there. You're like, oh my God, like this is night and day from what we were running the last 2 years. But yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson for sure stood out, along with Kadarius Toney. I would say those two wide receivers stood out when I went. And I would say the secondary was actually pretty good, better than I expected that it would be as an overall unit. Darnay Holmes also has been standing out a lot so far, and he had an interception when I went, but he's been standing out a lot through every practice so far, which is good because he's going to be our starting slot cornerback. I would say those were some of the standouts for sure. Thibodeau, I want to say I can't, but like I said, it wasn't like super physical without the pads, so I'll probably get a better gauge of him tomorrow when they got the pads on.
I wanted to ask you, I'm always interested in a player on the defensive side who can crack. Who is that player this coming year who you expect to see some really loud head-to-head or shoulder-to-body contact?
Who's who's
that guy for you who really cracks?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, when you say that guy that's going to crack, I think kind of like a strong safety. I think like a Jabril, like Peppers or I don't know if we have that guy in the secondary. I think McKinney's going to be friggin' awesome. I think Xavier McKinney is going to be the best player in our defense this year. I think he fits the scheme really well. You can move him all over the defense. He's coming off a near Pro Bowl season last year. And I think he's going to fit perfectly in Wing's scheme. But in terms of the heavy hitters, I guess Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau is Ejol Jalari. Those are the guys that I think are going to do some of the heavy hitting for sure. But I think what's going to be really fun about this defense is you're going to see blitzers from all over, from any type of position. You're going to see Darnay Holmes blitz from the slot. You're going to see the safeties blitz off the outside. The middle linebackers are going to come up the middle. So everybody's going to get their chances at the quarterback. There's going to be a lot of deception. But I guess Thibodeau. I guess Thibodeau is going to be the guy that I'm looking for to lower the shoulder, along with Leonard Williams.
Yeah, I want to see those guys stop that run game. You know what I mean? Like at a moment's notice. You know what I mean? Like that impact. That sort of for me always shuts down the game. Especially when we had our championship run, there was always a guy who came out and just like put the nail in the coffin, especially against the run games.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. That's why I can't wait till Madden comes out so I can start killing my friends, blitzing all day.
Yeah, I can never get a win against this guy.
Hey, man, listen, there's still time. There's still time. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's still time.
I think he has some sort of cheat code. I don't understand.
You know what it is? I'm fortunate enough to play with some really trash talking dudes that are pretty good. And so they make me a little better when I play against other people. When I play against them, I struggle, though, because they just know me so well. And that's what it is.
Right.
Me and John don't play enough. He doesn't know me that well. Once he starts to figure me out, I'm going to have to stop playing him.
And I'm terrible at trash talking, so I'm not a trash talker. So.
Before we move on and get into this Nick talk, man, I just want to say shout out to Brian DeBall, or is it Daboll or
Dable? I think it's Daboll. It's Daboll, yeah.
Daboll. Shout out to Brian Daboll because he did something which, I mean, he doesn't have to do it at all. But I like the fact that he's come to the defense of his quarterback. They're killing Daniel Jones because he threw up an interception. And I like the fact that he came to the rescue and said, listen, if you look at the pass, sometimes you like to put something out there to see how your secondary reacts. So it wasn't necessarily that Daniel Jones was trying to be so pinpoint accurate. He was just trying to make something happen, throw it up, and see how the defense reacts to the play. If the offensive guy gets it, great. But you want to see what the defense does. I mean, this is training camp. It's practice.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw people, and I actually retweeted that today when I saw it. Saw the quote.
I know, I saw it. That's why I was thinking about it.
Okay, yeah, the day that went down, not everybody, but you have like 15% of Giants fans that are like, they despise everything that Daniel Jones does. If he doesn't double knot his cleats, they want to get him off the field. That 15% of people that were saying we should take Malik Willis at 5th overall ended up going in the 3rd round. Those are the people that are going crazy over practice interceptions. And by the way, to put that interception in context, that was day 3 in a brand new scheme without pads in a practice where they were simulating 3rd and long situations, which inherently obviously is going to put the offense at a tremendous disadvantage. So everything was favoring the defense. Every pass was supposed to simulate like a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 situation. And if you watch the play, not to say that I think Daniel Jones is great. He's got a lot to improve on, and he's going to throw stupid picks throughout the year. But if you watch that play, kind of like you were saying, as soon as I saw it, I even wrote. I remember when it first happened, I'm like, that's like a Hail Mary simulation. He threw up a ball into like triple coverage into the end zone with one wide receiver going down the middle. He's not making that throw in a game unless it's like right before the half. And kind of like Dable said when he came out today, he said they were basically trying to get their secondary work and give the guys an opportunity to make a play. So calm down. We're not even in – well, now we're in pads, but we weren't even in pads yet. We haven't even gotten to a preseason game. Calm down. Let's see how this offense looks 4 or 5 weeks into the season because you know it's coming. This offense, like we said at the top, is not going to look crystal clear at the very beginning. It's a brand new scheme. It's going to take a couple of weeks, and then let's analyze this 4 or 5 weeks in. That's my mindset.
Yeah, I'm just excited. I can't wait, man. When you got some intricacies from Buffalo and some intricacies from Kansas City, there's nothing bad about that, man. Woo-wee.
Yeah, Kafka's calling the plays. They announced that too. A lot of people thought it'd be Dable. It's gonna be Kafka from KC.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, wow. That's dope. That's dope. I'm really excited now hearing that. Okay, this is fantastic. All right. Okay, guys, here we go. Still Knicks fans in the building. Let's talk a little Knicks, guys. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Hey, that was a good segue, though, where he talked about how there are folks that dislike Daniels and doesn't matter what he does. They're never going to be on his side because we have the same situation happening with the Knicks.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, man. You see how he sets that up? Yeah, we
fans
do have the same
favorites. No matter what team you're watching, fans always pick their favorites.
That's a fact, 100%. I mean, right now it's so crazy. Right now, I'm looking at different because I'm looking at so much Knick content throughout today and stuff, and it's just funny because people are thinking of different things to talk about because there's not much news, right? But then, even though there's not much news, people are like, nope. We don't want to talk about Julius Randle. I don't want to hear about that guy. We want him off the team. Like, people are still venomous right now. And I'm like, all right, guys, calm down. Look, I agree. I get it. I understand that maybe they might have to make a decision to move him in the near future. But right now, he's a Knick. Let's give the guy a chance to get his stuff together. Listen, if Julius Randle comes out day one, hits the ground running, and he's dropping his double-double, maybe 5 or 6 assists. He's playing great basketball. He's efficient. The Knicks are winning. A lot of people are going to shut up. However, the only thing I worry about is the one day he has a stinker, it all comes back. The Bluebirds, oh, he's trash. You know how the Knicks fans are. It's the worst.
He's going to have stinkers, man. He's going to have stinkers. You know that.
Yeah. So I'm just hoping he gets it together and we give him a shot. How do you feel about this whole Julius stuff, Chris?
Yeah, let's see if he's on the team first. I mean, you know, if they end up making a trade, he may be involved to clear cap space. But if he's on the team, here's what I'll say. The things that piss me off about Julius Randle, 2 things. And I like Julius Randle. I loved him 2 years ago. I don't hate Julius Randle. But the 2 things that piss me off about Julius Randle, 1, he makes the stupidest turnovers. And I think by getting a guy like Brunson, maybe he won't make as many of those because now we actually have a real point guard, right? Now you don't have Alec Burks running the offense, which was a travesty at the point guard spot. As much as I like Burks, he's not a point guard. But Randle makes so many stupid turnovers. But I think the thing that pisses Knicks fans off the most, or at least me, when I'm watching the games about Julius Randle, is his body language. I feel like the guy quits on plays at times. And I'm like, that New Yorkers don't like that. Knicks fans are all about effort. They want max effort. That's why we love John Starks. That's why we loved all those 90s Knicks teams, because you had players that gave you max effort. They weren't the most talented guys, but they went out there and they gave you 110% every single night. And maybe it's just the body language of Julius Randle, but the feeling, the vibe that he gives off when you're watching at times is he feels like defeated. And he gives the thumbs down to the fans. Like, that's where I think the fans officially, like, turned on Julius Randle in terms of, like, you know, supporting him as a New York Knick. Do I think Randle could be better this year? 100%, especially if he's not the first, second option. If they get Donovan Mitchell, which I'm still hoping they do, now all of a sudden you got Brunson, you got an emerging Barrett, you've got obviously Donovan Mitchell. Now Randall's the third or fourth option, and he may flourish in a role like that. But I think the role that Randall was in last year, and I think it was a lot of confidence too. In the playoffs, you saw he played against the Hawks, and it kind of exposed his game, right? When he had to be a number one option and he didn't have much help, he showed what he was, which is what I thought he was going into that year, which was more of like a number 3 or 4 on a really good team. And hopefully with the improved talent around him, that should make him a better player. But getting Mitchell, I think, would go a long ways towards that.
I 100% agree with you. And when you talk about like those nonstop players, I always think back to like a Chris Childs. He wasn't the most talented, but he brought it every day. You know what I mean? And then against the stiffest of competitions, when you're up against a young Kobe Bryant, and young Kobe Bryant is getting in your face, guess what? You're gonna get a couple of 1-2 to the face, and we're gonna stop all that talk. But that's the sort of grit that we want our New York teams to have. We're not gonna back down from no one. We're gonna come bring it. We're gonna be aggressive. We're gonna play hard, and then we're gonna do our best to win games.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm gonna get your I'll come back to it because I want to get your thoughts on the addition of Jalen Brunson on the Knicks, Chris. But before we get into that, let me start with this other question. I'll start with you, John. So the thing that I noticed that was buzzing around today was apparently, I didn't watch it. They were talking about this podcast, The Monty Show. I didn't see it. Sometimes I tune into it, but I guess he was talking about the fact that of the trade offer that was out there, I think it was Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, Deuce McBride, and it's one more. I can't remember who it was.
Maybe
whatever.
Reddish.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was Reddish. It was another young player.
Fournier. So
no, Fournier
Grimes, right?
Fournier was there for the money, but it was another young player. So it was 4 young players and then Fournier for the money. I don't know who it was, but the point is that's enough. You're talking IQ, Obi, Deuce, Grimes.
Oh my God,
So,
they give all of them in that. Yeah,
right. So it was those 4 plus Fournier and 6 first-round picks.
Yeah, I'm not doing
that. Apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, that's like the deal that Utah wants. And the Knicks have decided to not deal with them right now and walk away and let them go out there and see what else they can get. So the way the guy was talking on the Monty Show, and I forget his name, maybe it's Monty, I don't know. But he was basically saying that the Knicks have chosen to kind of walk away for right now. Danny Ainge has a price that he's not coming down from. And Leon Rose and the Knicks organization are staying firm in the fact that they just don't want to meet that price. It's just not in the cards at the moment. Right. So they're going to, kind of let it play out and see where it goes. So, John, what do you think about that? Are you comfortable with them deciding that, even though Donovan Mitchell is there, we should probably think about standing pat and not giving up more than what we want to give up? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm in agreement to that. We're not giving up that many players and that many picks all at once. Like, for me, I would consider it if you're not including Grimes in that trade. I would consider it. Maybe removing Grimes and maybe a pick and leave it to 5 picks with those players outside of keeping Grimes on that. So that would be Fournier, Quick, Obi. And that's if in fact they plan to move away from Obi, and we plan to stay packed with Randall. I wouldn't mind doing Fournier, Deuce, Obi, IQ, and then 5 picks. I would consider that, but I wouldn't do more than that. That's a little bit, you're pressing at that point.
How do you feel about that, Chris?
Yeah, I think you're clearly dealing with a GM who has a reputation for trying to get the most that he possibly can. He's very stingy in terms, that historically speaking, you saw what he was able to get for Rudy Gobert. But if I'm the Knicks, man, I look at it like this. We have the leverage. They may be acting like they have the leverage, but in my opinion, the Utah Jazz right now, they're trying to tank. That's what they're trying to do. Let's be real. They traded Gobert. Now they're trying to trade Mitchell. They're trying to tank. If they keep Mitchell on the team, that hurts the tank. So they want to get rid of Mitchell before the season starts. And if I'm the Knicks, I sit back and I wait till they give me a fair offer. I'm not giving up 6 first-round picks and all of my young talent on this team outside RJ Barrett. I'm not doing it. Then all of a sudden you've got another Carmelo Anthony situation where you could only build this team so far. It's about winning championships, right? If I could hold on to Grimes and maybe Toppin as well, I'd like to keep 2 of those guys somehow. I'd give up the 6 first-round picks, keep the young players, and try to get one more piece in the next couple of years to pair along with these guys. But I'm not giving up everything to get Donovan Mitchell. That we're not talking about LeBron James. We're not talking about Kevin Durant. We're talking about a great player, but he's not that level. And the Knicks can't go all in that sense. That there has to be a limit to what they're willing to give up. So I actually applaud the Knicks for not going gung-ho and just giving them everything that they want. And I really do believe if the Knicks wait this out, they're going to have more leverage. I think the Jazz are looking to tank. I think that's why they want to get rid of Mitchell. They want to get as high of a draft pick as they possibly can.
And if they play out the season with Mitchell, that just means that he's going to be available to us at an even cheaper, price moving forward, because at some point
and they run the risk of him getting hurt. If he gets hurt, you don't have trade value.
That also, right?
That's very true. I mean, honestly, I want them to either get it done at the right price, of course, or move on. I'm kind of worried to see this trade present itself again later, because then there's other players that can't be traded now that will be eligible to be traded later that I don't want included. Like right now, like they can't ask for Mitchell Robinson. Although I know they wanted Mitchell Robinson, and the Knicks said, well, listen, we want Mitchell Robinson more, and they signed him to his 4-year deal. So now he couldn't go in the trade. But if you wait 90 days or so or get to that point, then maybe he becomes a person who is available to get traded. Or maybe a guy like Jericho Sims, who can't be traded right now either. Like, I'm a little worried about them staying the course. I like what they're doing now, and if they don't do it, fine. And don't get raked over the coals. Do what makes sense for the team, the organization going forward. Because what's the point of bringing in a guy like you said? Donovan Mitchell's a really good player. He might even be great, but he's not your tier 1 guy. He's tier 2.
He's a top 15 to 20 player. He's not a top 5.
Yeah, I would say tier 1 is maybe top 10 guys, whoever those may be or whatever. But you just don't want to do that unless you're bringing in that guy. And the other thing is, if you do that, I mean, what do the Knicks have left? Like, what's going to be on your bench? Then you got to bring in a bunch of journeymen who take veteran minimums and possibly some guys who have been around the league playing that might be, give you something, but there's a reason why they keep jumping from team to team. So I don't know.
What happens is that we're going to have to start Keels. I'm just kidding.
He's
not ready. He's not ready. He's not ready.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Keith Turner says you got to give up at least 2 of these young players on this team. Ain't no way around. That I agree with.
Absolutely.
And John and I talked about it before. Like, it makes sense if we've got 4 young guys that are coveted. Say if that's the case, I can give up 2. I'm not giving you all 4 though.
I'll give you quickly in Toppin, but I'm not throwing Grimes in the trade also. I'll give you 2. If push comes to shove, I'll give you 2 of them. But I'm not giving you 3. I'm not giving you 3. Not if you're getting 6 first-round picks. You would have taken 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, that's different too. And the other thing is, if there's any truth to the fact that we don't know, it's all speculation and rumors, even though it's kind of come from 3 different people. If there is truth to the fact that if the Knicks get Donovan Mitchell, that they're prepared to then trade Julius Randle, then you can't trade Obi.
You can't trade
Obi in that deal. You can't put him in that deal. So this is all crazy right now. This is some wild stuff. But we got to see how it plays out. It's always a drama in New York, man.
It's been going on for like a month now. It's been crazy, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. So we'll see what happens. But I did want to ask you, Chris, and shout out to Worldwide L, the Jet fan. I see you, buddy, and for the love of the game in the building. Appreciate you. Shout out to Jeremy Nussbaum as well. Thank you, man. What do you think about the addition of Jalen Brunson? I know you already kind of touched on it a little bit, but do you see him making that much of an impact? Just him alone, like with this team? Because the one thing that I was noticing, and I think I actually have a GIF of the New York Knicks roster that we can put up so we can kind of look at what we got currently. This current roster, I know it might be a little small. Hopefully you guys can see it. Even if we didn't trade for Donovan Mitchell, I kind of think that the addition of Jalen Brunson makes this little thing go. And if Thibodeau is, more inclined to play some of these guys that he didn't play as much last year, in essence, we're a little bit of a different team. We still got the same core, but we might play a little different. What do you think about the current roster and, the fact of having Jalen here now, what he can do to help?
I think we are probably a back end playoff team in the East with the current roster we have. Maybe a 7-8 seed, probably a play-in team if I had to guess. I don't think we're much higher than that. The East is really loaded, but I think the addition of Jalen Brunson is huge. And I saw a lot of people when the contract was initially announced were flipping out, and I get it. It was a high contract, but when you look at it, I think he's the 13th or 14th highest paid point guard this year, so kind of middle of the pack. And Jalen Brunson's still really young. He's emerging as a player. He was a guy that didn't really get to run the point exclusively in Dallas. Now you're giving him that opportunity with the Knicks. He has shown this past year when they didn't have Luka for the playoffs that he can be a guy that could take over a game and help you win a series in the playoffs against a good Jazz team. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the pickup. And it was a position that, listen, we've been watching Knicks for a long time. I go back to the mid-'90s with Ewing when they lost to the Rockets. I was about 8-9 years old then. I go back to then. They have not had a point guard. Derek Harper was the last point guard. Stephon Marbury was okay statistically, but he didn't do anything for us. So to bring in a guy that is as young as him, that I think has not even come close to reaching his potential peak, I think it's a really good move. And as a matter of fact, I wanted Jalen Brunson the night that we took Mitchell Robinson. Of course, Brunson went like 3 picks before, so we couldn't get him. But I always liked him going back to Villanova. He was always a headsy player. Not the most athletic guy, but he's a smart player. I think he's going to be a really good fit for this team. And I think he's going to help the growth of a lot of the other younger players. I think R.J. Barrett's going to improve tremendously having a real point guard. I think Obi Toppin, he may benefit more than anybody else with the lobs, having a real point guard out there. Same thing with Mitch. Mitch has never had a real point guard. You're talking about a guy that could really benefit from the pick and roll. So I love the addition of Jalen Brunson. It was something we really needed. He was the best point guard out there, and he's still young, and I think he's only going to get better, and I think he's going to improve the players around him, which is what a point guard's supposed to do. So, yeah, I think it was a really good move. Now, if it's the only move they make, well, it's not enough. You gave up a lot. You traded back all these draft picks. It's not enough. You have to do something else. They have to bring in another player. May not be this year. Maybe the following year, but they have to bring in another high-end player for sure because they gave up a lot of draft capital. They traded a lot of players away in order to be able to bring in a guy like Jalen Brunson. It's a move that definitely gets us trending in the right direction. It's going to improve players on this team, but there has to be more moves to come.
I agree with that.
Good call on Felton.
Boogie in the building.
All right. Boogie, good call on Felton.
All right,
now,
let me just say that. I'll let you say what you want to say, Chris. But remember, we had Felton twice. So the second Felton, but the
I was going to get into
Felton,
that. Yeah. Here's what I was saying about Felton. Felton had the benefit of the D'Antoni offense as well. I think that definitely improved his statistics. You saw what it did with Chris Duhon too. But Felton the first time around was good. He was good for a year. And then we traded him. Then we got Fat Felton. And Fat Felton was not the same as Skinny Felton. And that was a big disaster. But, yes, good call. Felton was good for a year with the Knicks. I'll give you that. That was a fun team. I was pissed when they broke that team up. Of course, I was excited for Carmelo, but that was a team that was definitely trending towards something and building something. Felton was really good for that team. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Yo Chase Boogie. And thank you for being here and joining us. Appreciate you. I think that it's really, really interesting to see what the Knicks are going to do because, I honestly think that if they just make some minor changes, change some of their offensive sets, do a couple more things to make the ball flow a little better, get guys to buy into passing the ball and believing in their teammates. I think that will help them offensively. I think they'll get better looks if Thibodeau and his offensive staff decide to incorporate more back cuts, back screens, and all this other things to get good looks at the basket for guys like RJ and for Julius. They shouldn't have to work so hard on offense. Give them some easy stuff so they can get in a 2 here, 2 there. Give them some momentum, get their game going. We saw a lot of struggles last year where people were forcing the issue, running up into double teams, into triple teams, forcing their way into the paint. Make things a little easier in your offensive system. And then on the defensive end, I guess all you can hope for is that they continue to do what they've been doing, but Thibodeau allows these guys, the chance to show him something, to buy into what he's preaching. Because I think he had a real short leash last year, and guys like Obi, who I feel like he should reward. It's not just about your young guys. You got to reward guys that are outworking everybody else. So you already know Julius Randle. I don't know about during the season, but I think he is a hard worker during the season too. But the offseason is a beast. But RJ Barrett is a very hard worker throughout the season. Emmanuel Quickly is a gym rat. Apparently, Obi Toppin is another gym rat. He's such a gym rat that when they do drills and skills challenges and all this crap, he wants to finish first. That's how hard he goes. So guys like this, you got to reward. And I think the other one I would add to that mix is Quentin Grimes. I think Quentin Grimes has worked really hard this current offseason into trying to, elevate his game and work on some of the things. Yeah, exactly. So those are guys I think Thibodeau's got to reward. And maybe if you want to throw in one more guy, like he's got to reward, different people, but those are the guys he's got to focus on, if you ask me. And then we got to figure out what the hell is Cam Reddish? What is he? Because I don't know what he is because we don't see.
I can tell you what he is right now. He's a guy that can play defense who can't shoot to save his life. That's what Cam Reddish is to me right now. He's a good free throw shooter.
What it is, man. Yeah.
He's got a good touch. It's just he doesn't seem to knock it down at a high clip, and I think if there's anything that he could be working on, it would be that. But I did want a response to sort of like if the summer league is any indication of what we expect to see in the regular season, then I'm looking forward to seeing that sort of offense run, because there were a lot of moving without the ball and finding guys coming off of picks and like you said, back cuts that was shown in the summer league, and just the intensity on the defensive side, being very hands-on, being active, attacking the basketball and not waiting for the offense to come to you, but attacking the offense on the defensive side. I looked at that. I like that. So I'm hoping to see that in the regular season. Even in the preseason games, I want to see some indication that that's where we're headed.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I hope that that's the case. The only thing I'm a little worried about is because, all of this stuff is Thibodeau, Nick principles that they're going to run with the big club. And, that's the base, right? But only thing I'm concerned about is because Dice Yoshimoto is the coach, does he have a little free reign to institute some of his own stuff? So is this stuff that he's doing that we may not see Thibodeau run with the big guys? Like, I'm just a little concerned about. I hope we get to see it, because I agree with you. I loved what I was watching. The defensive end, they were getting after it. I love that. The offensive end, they were doing the stuff you said, back cuts and screens and different things. The only problem with that team is they were I would say fairly good on defense. No, they were pretty active, but
they were really good at defense.
Challenged. Yeah, offensively,
it was the 3-point shot. They couldn't knock down the 3-point shot. That's sort of that's really was the Achilles heel against Portland, right? They sort of boxed in. They didn't allow for folks to drive in the lane. They forced you out to shoot in the perimeter, and they weren't knocking down the open 3-pointers that they had. But that, in essence, has been the Knicks' Achilles heel with shooters like Barrett and Randle not shooting it well. But again, Jalen Brunson will impact that a little bit. We have a really good shooter in Fournier. I'm not sure if he's going to stick before the regular season. If he's here, that's sort of, for me, whether or not, it would be the deciding factor on who starts and who doesn't. Fournier has the larger contract, so you can expect him to start the season as a starter. And as we all know, he's not the best defense, so we got to figure out ways to hide him. And yeah, I mean that's really what it is. What it's going to come down to. it's guys like Barrett and Julius shooting it better from the perimeter when you now have Jalen Brunson running the offense.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I can't wait to see what changes they may make and how everything plays out and how Thibodeau runs his rotations, because that's going to be a big sticking point for a lot of Knicks fans. How does Thibodeau play these guys?
Even when we were good his first year, people hated the rotation. So that's always something that Knicks fans have their eyes on for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be pivotal. Shout out to Keith Turner. He said we need to make a trade regardless of if it's Donovan comes here or not. So I hope Leon has a plan B. I agree with that. Now, the only thing is if Donovan doesn't happen, I don't think the Knicks are going to rush it. I think they'll take their time with it, and they'll probably just see what this team looks like. And how they gel together, and you also get a feel for who really still needs to be here and who you can move. And then I think they might get a little closer to trade deadline. They might make a move then, but we'll see. Pete Panagiotopoulos says Kenny Lofton Jr. killed it in the Summer League. Should have been a Knick. Hey, man. The shoulda, coulda, would is with the Knick draft process, man. It's tough.
His dad was a great – I'll tell you that. His dad was a great shot.
No, that's not
the same guy.
Oh, it's not his dad?
Nah.
How could he have the same name and not be? I know. That was crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought it was his mom.
Yeah, I did too. I really did. Jay Boogie, salute to you, man. He said, when on this show, Ron and John will always remind all of us that we are still Knicks fans. Let it be known, my brother, you have the best football channel, not just Giants, out of all the podcasts. Stand up. That's right.
Yeah.
Entertainah.
I see him pop. I see him pop into my streams every now and again, man. Good to see you. Hope you're excited about the upcoming football season as I am, man. I'll be live tomorrow if you want to swing in. Actually, I'll be recapping training camp. So, thanks for popping in. Man.
Yeah, man. Jay Boogie is a special one, man. He's the closer for a reason, but outside of that, he's just a really good dude.
I was blown away. He did a rap song. I don't know how many he's done, but he did a rap song for
Podcasters.
Knicks Fan TV. Yeah, Knicks Fan TV. And he was mentioning all the Knicks guys. And then at the very end, he's like,
song, right.
He's like, I can't leave out my boy, the Entertainah, the Giants guy. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That was cool when I heard it.
Yeah, that was dope. That's still my favorite Jay Boogie song. And I hope he does a remix one day and throw still Knicks fans in there. Just but anyway, I'm just saying. Yeah, man. But nah, he's very talented, and I think he said that in the near future he's coming out with a whole album of his songs that he's doing. So I'm looking forward to that. Awesome. That should be pretty cool. Also, awesome. Shout out to my guy Quality Jumper in the building. Appreciate you, man. Good to see you. So, being that you did mention that you're going to be at training camp, I also wanted to touch on this because I know you're doing is this the second annual, or is this, I don't know how many you've done, the Fan Fest things?
Second annual. Yeah.
This is the second. See, I pay attention.
Yeah, so there's another, really big Giants. They're probably the biggest Giants podcast, off of YouTube, but they're pretty big on YouTube also, Talking Giants. And they work for John Boy. So their company organizes a free tailgate and everything. And we're going to be in parking lot G, I think. If you guys are going, anybody that may be going to FanFest, free food, just bring your own beer. And then we do, it's like a meetup. We get there 3 hours before the gates open. FanFest is completely free. It's like going to training camp. And we do a live show from the parking lot. So it's Bobby, Justin, me, and License Plate Guy, who's a pretty famous Giant fan, if you guys don't know who that is. But, it'll be a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun last year. Last year, I was blown away when I went because that was kind of only the second live event that I've done. I went, since my channel has grown somewhat. And I get there, I had 15 kids ask for my autograph. I was like, what? They gave me a pen that signed their footballs. I'm like, wow. But no, it's just a really cool experience getting to hang out with Giants fans and people that appreciate the channel. So, yeah, if you're going to be there, definitely parking lot G.
What's the date on that? This
Friday. So it's August 5th. Yeah. That's Friday, right? So FanFest meetup is August 5th at 3 p.m. Parking lot G. Food catered by Candlewick Diner. It's Talking Giants live show. You got, as Chris was just saying, Bobby Skinner's there, Justin Pinnock, license plate guy, Chris the Entertainer, and other special guests. So that should be pretty dope, man.
Yeah, I'm
Ron, we going? We going, Ron? We going?
Man, listen, I wish I could, but I didn't.
We calling out sick
until it was a little late on my
We're
schedule.
gonna call out sick.
Well.
I'll tell you what. You guys go to Giant games?
I try.
You guys go to Giant?
In the past, I haven't been to one in a minute. Yeah.
I'm going to the Bears game. If you're going to a Giant game this year, go to the Bears game. I'm going to the Bears game week 4.
Okay. Week 4? All right.
Week 4
let's pencil that in, John. Let's make it happen.
All right. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, still Knicks fans in the building with the Chris the Entertainer talking sports. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Yeah, so guys, definitely if you guys are interested and you're Giant fans or you know of other Giant fans, the Fan Fest meetup should be really cool. I remember it happened last year, and from how it sounded like a really great event. Everybody had a really good time. They're doing it again this year, so it's a nice chance to get together with some really cool guys talking Giants and enjoying the experience. So definitely, if you can make it, August 5th, 3 p.m., parking lot G. So
I appreciate it, man.
Hey, no problem, man. No problem. Also, shout out to my guy, Yankees Morning Brew, Project Nerd, a.k.a. Heck, is in the building. Appreciate you, brother. This guy was going nuts the other day. He was at a Yankee game, and I think Judge hit his 200th home run. He was losing it over there.
It was crazy.
He's the MVP.
Yeah, that guy's okay.
Aaron Judge's been ridiculous.
Easy.
He's been ridiculous this year.
Listen, I hope the Yankees don't do the right thing, man. Let's bring that boy right over to Citi Field. We'll take him right off.
Come
on. Listen,
I just take a quick glance. Mets won tonight, so we that's 7 in a row. So I'm happy. Yankees won 2.
That's looking nice. Yeah,
let's go.
I'm going to that next Subway Series. I'm telling you that, man. We lost the first 2. I'm locked in for the 23rd. I'm gonna be there on the 23rd. I'm not gonna
be able to make it. He's going with my guy from Yankees Morning Brew, Project Nerd. So they should have a good time at my expense. That's okay. I'm gonna be watching, and I may have to text them while it's going on, letting them know how they're getting their face beat in.
I'm gonna be putting you on live chat real quick.
I hope I get to go to the Subway Series in October. I want to know the crack at the Yankees.
Yeah.
Listen, that would be great.
We would love to have you guys, at Yankee Stadium, Game 1.
Thank you for hosting us. If that actually comes to fruition, we appreciate your hospitality.
Yeah. We'll hang out at the ticket tape.
Hey, listen, I'm just more of everything else. I'm just crossing my fingers, guys. I know in the chat you're like, oh, more Nick Met. Giant. Yeah, that's right. We're talking sports today, folks. The Grominator is coming back tomorrow. I need him healthy, man.
I'm streaming that game. I very rarely do play-by-play for Mets games. I'm doing that one because it's the Grom first game back.
That should be dope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be exciting. As long as he's out there healthy, it's going to be a good time. The issue is just having him stay out there healthy consistently. Yeah. We need it. We need
5 good innings tomorrow and bring in the bullpen step by step. Yeah, that's it. Give me 5 innings.
There you go.
Because we all know that they're not going to get any, they're not going to score any runs while the Grom's in the, they know what's going to happen.
I hope they broke that, man, because Scherzer's starting to get some run support here and there. Come on, we got to get him for
Scherzer's not the Grom. Whatever it is, the Grom always has a 1-0.
I just feel like the Mets take the Grom for granted. They're like, oh, the Grom.
Oh, yeah. They really do. I think they're too busy, in the outfield and the infield. They're playing with they're checking the email on their phones in the back pocket. They got nothing to do.
Yeah. They're like, we only need a run today. DeGrom's pitching. That's
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. But and shout out to all the New York sports teams. The Yankees are playing great. The Mets are playing great. We got some good things hopefully on the Giant front. The Jets look good. I'm not a Jet hater. So, and they got some really good young talent. So I'm wishing them the best as well. And also, maybe our New York Knicks get it together. Maybe they get it together.
And we already let's know the not Rangers. Forget the Rangers.
I was just gonna say the Rangers look great. I don't even have to. They're on the right road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should. it could be a pretty fun time. Like if all these New York teams start to get it together, it's going to be great, because that's when everybody starts hating New York again. Oh, sick of hearing about New York. I love those times.
Can't wait.
I can't wait. Exactly. Yeah, guys. So, thank you guys for tuning into the show. It's been a great one once again, having my guy Chris, aka the Entertainah, talking sports, in the building with us. But all good things must come to an end. But before we get out of here, once again, I want to thank you for being here, Chris. Anything else going on that you want to plug? I know you said you're going to be going to training camp again tomorrow. You're going to be doing a live show after?
Yeah, on YouTube. I'm going to be, but at night, like at 8 o'clock, just to like recap what I saw and just kind of like a Giants hangout. Nothing off the top of my head. I'll just expect a lot more content from me soon now that the season's fast approaching. So just looking forward to getting football back in the swing of things, right? We got our first preseason game's a week from Thursday. So I think it's a week from this Thursday. So things are starting to move real fast. So I can't wait.
Wow, man, time is flying. Jeez. A week from next.
Yeah,
wow, man. Whew. Well, I can't wait. I'm sure it's going to be
This is the
great.
best time of the year. You got everything happening. You got baseball, you got basketball, you got football. It's all starting to come together.
When is the basketball season? When that starts? It still
November,
starts,
right?
Oh, it's November.
Because
I
don't know. Traditionally, it's November.
Right.
Yeah.
Like late October going into November. I don't know how they're doing it this year. I got to check that schedule, actually.
Yeah,
I don't
because
think
last
they
year
put it out
probably
there
going
yet.
to be around there.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so it should be pretty fun.
Oh, by the way,
John?
43 for my guy, Aaron Judge. The race to Maris continues.
He's gonna break it.
And Rizzo's on a hot streak. I'm just saying. It's interesting.
Oh, man. The Bronx Bombers are back, huh?
Yeah.
You must be on cloud 9 over there.
You already know. Listen, I got me a nice little, It says start each day.
And what does that?
Grateful.
What does that say? What does that say again?
Start each day, right, with a graceful heart, a grateful heart. I should say.
There you go.
I'm grateful for my New York Yankees.
Good for you. You be grateful, because I don't know when's the last time the Yankees actually had hitting and pitching at the same time. It's incredible. It's like a mirage. I don't believe it.
And we just picked up some relief pitchers too. Oh man!
I know you got Frank Montas too.
Yeah, you got a great starter today.
Is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Mets got to get a bat. Mets got to get bullpen help more than anything. Got to get bullpen.
Yeah, I know. They definitely do. Well, I'm hoping, listen, tomorrow when you wake up, you'll see Soto's on the team. No, that ain't happening.
Dave Robertson. Give me Dave Robertson.
They ain't doing that. No,
Dave Robertson.
But one guy they are looking at, I think, is really interesting. They're looking at this guy from the Red Sox.
JD Martinez.
JD Martinez. Hey, listen, I like JD Martinez. They could get him.
He'd be a
That'll
good
work.
fit. Put him in the 5 spot. He'd be a good fit.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I hope for the best. Let me see if my guy Jose is out there. Jose, you in the building? You want to say a couple words to the people?
Hi, people.
Hey, there he is.
I will say this. Hold up. So from the time that we brought Chris on screen, I asked the chat a question: who they're rocking with? Either Giants or Jets. 74% of our viewers are Jets. I'm kidding. They're Giants fan with 26% going to the Jets. So
there you go.
It's not only you guys that got the love for the Giants, but also our viewers. So shout out to them.
Nice.
That's the way it should be. That is the way it should be. No offense, Worldwide L. I know you're a Jet fan. I'm sorry, buddy. Oh, and he's a Yankee fan too. I don't even know why I talk to this guy. Oh man, it's tough. It's okay. Shout out to Kerry Cooper. Thank you. Appreciate the generous super chat. Appreciate you always showing support and showing love for our shows. Thanks once again, Mr. Kerry Cooper. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, man. So once again, it's another great show. Thanks to Chris for being here. John, you got any final words, brother?
As always, I say, stay blessed. Looking forward to the next one.
Hey, there you go, guys. Once again, this has been another good one. Thank you guys for tuning in and rocking with us. It's always really busy. Competition is at the highest level for Knick content on Monday nights. So when you guys show up, and show love to our show. We're really excited about it. We can't thank you guys enough. As I always say, tell a friend to tell a friend, tells another friend. Still Knicks fans, we'll be back again. And stay tuned, because this Thursday, for our NBA report on the Nothing But Knicks channel, we have Coach Chris in the building from the BBall Breakdown YouTube channel. That's going to be dope. He's one of the best at it. So I'm going to ask him some tough questions that I don't have answers to about X's and O's. So it should be pretty fun. John, do your homework. You're going to need some good – this guy, he's going to knock him out the park, man. He's got some good answers for us. This should be pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I got some lobs.
Yeah,
got some lobs.
Yeah, it should be pretty dope. It should be pretty dope. Anyway, once again, guys, thank you as always for being here. Thank you to my guy Jose holding us down on the ones and twos. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. More fire, rhythm beats. Bo, bo, bo. Yeah, man. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Once again, have a great rest of your Monday night. And if you're not a Giant fan, think about it, man. They could be pretty good this year. It could be fun. We'll see. We'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. It's been real.